I'm going to click the button here to record that. There we go. And now what I'm going to do for you is just share my screen so you can all see StorMan on your computer as well. That should load for you shortly. Just click that button there. Okay, you should see StorMan on your screen at the moment. Alright, now the main screen that opens up with StorMan, if you haven't seen it before, is called the StorMan dashboard. And it's the first screen that comes up when you start the program. And it's a little bit like the dashboard of a car, because what it does is give us quick access to all the core functions of the program and give us a bit of a heads-up display about what's going on in the system. What I'll do for you is I'll just go through the StorMan dashboard for you to show you the different sections, and then we'll get into some of the more core features of StorMan, such as doing a new move-in, sales inquiry, and also going through some of the daily tasks that you would normally run in StorMan. Okay, so if we look at the top left of the control screen, or dashboard as we like to call it, you'll see the StorMan logo, and just underneath that you'll see the word admin. Welcome to StorMan admin. I'm just going to highlight that on my screen there. You should see that come up on your screen highlighted at the top left. And essentially what this is doing is telling us who we're currently logged in as. So in this case we're logged into StorMan as admin. We recommend you set up a different login username for each of your staff members. The reason for that is that if something goes wrong or a staff member does something incorrectly in the system, you can easily see as a manager or owner who that staff member was, and it gives you a way to be able to approach that staff member and just give them some assistance or guidance on how to perform that function properly next time round. So it's a good way to do that if you have a different user for each of your staff members. If we move along to the next section, underneath on the top left of the StorMan dashboard, we see the Welcome to StorMan admin. Just underneath we have a calendar section there. Now what the calendar does is give us quick access to any of the dates in the year or month, and we can add notes for different dates. For example, if we only work during the week and we have different weekend staff that come around, what we can do is click onto a different date and leave a note for weekend staff. So for example, as you'll see here, I'll just click on Saturday the 22nd of November and I can leave a note. For example, a note that the courtesy trailer is in use on that particular day. And if I click off that date and come back on at any time, that note will always be there. So as I said before, it's a great way to leave notes for other staff members when you're not there or you need to pass on a message. StorMan will also automatically populate that notes field with some of its own things. For example, if someone is due to move in or out on that particular day, it'll put a note in there saying when they're going to move in, who they are, and what unit they're going to move into. So it gives you a bit of a lead up as to what you've got going on that day. And for example, it might give you time to go out and clean that unit if it hasn't been cleaned as yet or swept out. StorMan will also populate that field with any sales inquiries. So if you've had someone ring today to make a sales inquiry, tomorrow it will remind you to follow that particular person up just to see how they went with their inquiry. We'll go through one of those shortly. And one of the other things that StorMan will populate the notes field with automatically is your stock levels or inventory control. So if you do use StorMan to manage your stock levels, for example, you might have 10 boxes left, and if you get down to 5, StorMan can warn you that you need to purchase some more boxes, or locks, or bubble wrap, whatever the case might be. So you can, of course, use StorMan to manage your stock, and any stock level reminders will appear in the notes section as well. Of course, you can also print the calendar notes using the print button at the bottom. Just over to the right-hand side of the calendar, you have a key data section. At the moment it's showing quite a few zeros because I've opened up a brand new demo data file. But after we run daily processing, which we'll do later on in the demo, all those numbers will populate to give us some real data of the facility. So essentially, to show you what's going on there is that we can currently see, I'm just going to use my highlighter tool to mark these actually. You can see how many move-ins you've had for the day, week and month, how many move-outs you've had for the day, week and month, the current occupancy level of the facility, the number of sales inquiries you've had, and reservations underneath. And the last line there, rent, shows you how much rent you've charged for the day or billed for the day. Now it's important to remember that that doesn't mean how much money you've received from customers for rent, it's the other way around, it's how much rent you've charged for the day, just to get that through there. Okay. Underneath the calendar section on the bottom left, we have a messages window. And this window here will show you any messages such as emails or text or SMS messages, they call them sometimes, that are going in and out of StorMan. So if you do use StorMan to send email invoices, which we recommend you do, it's cheaper than printing them all the time, any of those email invoices and any other emails that you send out to customers will appear down there. If you then go one step further and also use StorMan to check for your email messages, you can use that section down there to view any new messages that may have come through from other people. In most cases, people would already have an email program on their system, such as Outlook or Outlook Express, something like that. So most people probably won't use StorMan for receiving email, will just use it for sending. But it can do both if you want it to. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see at the top there 6 colourful little icons. We've got Sales Inquiry, Reservation, Move-In, Cash Sale, Daily, and Banking. And these are the core things you would do in StorMan, hence we've put the 6 main icons there on the top right of the screen. We're going to go through a couple of those later today just to show you what they do, but essentially just to explain, StorMan has what we call a 3-step move-in process. The first thing someone would do is they would inquire about your services using a sales inquiry. After that, if they're happy with what you are quoting them, they would then reserve with you, which is the second icon, and if then they're happy, they would then move in, and they're now a customer of yours. So that's a 3-step process. You can, if you like, set up StorMan so that you require your staff members to use that 3-step process. So, for example, you can't just move someone in, you've got to put them through as a sales inquiry first. And the reason some of the larger sites who use StorMan have switched that option on is that they want to see how their staff are doing in converting leads from sales inquiries to move-ins and so on, and to also get the marketing stats as to how people are finding you, whether they're finding you through the website, through the yellow pages and that sort of thing. And if you do use that 3-step process, you can get a lot of marketing data from customers as to how they find you and that sort of thing. So those 6 icons there. Again, we'll go through some of those shortly. Just underneath that, we have a big customers list, which sort of takes up the right-hand side of the screen in full. Now, if you do use a compatible gate system or access control system with StorMan, the right part of the screen will actually be split in two. At about this level here, you might see that line appear on your screen there on Unit 115. If you were running StorMan with a gate system, the bottom half of this screen here would actually turn into a gate log section, and it will show you any of the customers that are coming in and out of the gate of your facility, what roller doors are opening, whether alarms are going off, all that sort of thing. But essentially, if you don't run a gate system, the customers window spans the entire right-hand side of the screen, as we can see here. Now, essentially, this window shows all of the units that you've got. For example, if we look at the top here, we've got Unit 100. The customer in Unit 100 is Rob Fitty, so we can see the customer name as well, or company name. The agreement number is the next field across there. That's the customer's agreement number. Then their paid to date. And lastly, the status of that unit. For example, rented, vacant, company, in repair, waiting to be cleaned, and so on. There's quite a few different statuses you've got in StorMan that you can use. You can also sort this window using the little toggles at the top. So you'll see here next to the word unit, we've got a little up and down arrow toggle. We've also got one here on name, agreement, paid to, status, and so on. So by clicking that toggle, what you can do is actually toggle that to reverse the order in which it's shown. So if I click that on the unit number here, it will start with the highest one first. If I reverse that, the lowest one first. Same with the name, A to Z, Z to A, and so on, agreement number, paid to date. And status is an interesting one because it's a really easy way to see all of your vacant units all next to each other by just clicking that toggle twice, so all the V's come to the top, or the last letters of the alphabet come to the top, and all your vacant units are together shown there. So it's a really quick way to see what's going on. I can reset this window back to its default view by using this double-headed arrow here on the right-hand side. I'm just going to highlight that for you with my highlighter. There you go. It's a little blue arrow with 2 sort of loops there. That's just a refresh button. So when you hit that, it will refresh back to its normal view as shown there. Now you can also use the search function here to search for something inside this window. And you can search for anything that's in there. For example, you can search for a unit number, 100, as we can see there. And as you'll notice, it does search as we type. So if I just put in 10, it shows anything with a match of 10, including agreement numbers and people's names if they happen to have a 10 in them, or a company, for example, Mitre 10, would then show that up as well. I'll just do another example with typing someone's name, for example, ROB for Rob. And you can see that search list updating as we go along in typing someone's name. There we go. Now it's also a great way to see what vacant units you've got. Of course, you could use the toggles on the right-hand side, but that shows everything, including vacant units. Whereas if I just start typing VAC for vacant, StorMan will just show us the vacant units very quickly in our system there. Again, I can just use the backspace key to clear that, or the refresh button on the right-hand side here to refresh it back to its default view. Now you might see two other icons on the right hand side there at the end of the search window. We've got a little signpost and a calculator. Now when you click on the calculator icon, it just opens up the calculator built into Windows, or if you've got StorMan on a Macintosh, it opens up the Macintosh calculator. And it's just a quick way to do some calculations or some sums if you need to, in case you can't find the one on your desk. But the icon next to that, the little signpost here, is probably one you'd use quite often in StorMan Pro, and it's the map, which should be loading on your screen shortly. They're very colourful. It is colour-coded with a legend, which you can see in the top left-hand side there. At the moment, all of our vacant units are lime green. The rented ones are purple, reserved blue, and so on. And it's a live map. It's not just a picture. It's actually live. So if you do go and move someone in to a previously vacant unit, for example, 101 here at the top left section is currently vacant. If I were to move someone in there, it would then change colour to become purple, which is the rented status. Now in the same way, if I'm not sure who's in Unit 100 or 102, whatever, I can just double click on it and it will open up the customer's agreement. I'll do that for you now. I've just double clicked on Unit 100 and we'll see that the customer's agreement for Rob Fitterfee, who actually happens to be in 100, has opened up on our screen there. So as I mentioned, it is a live map. You can, of course, draw all sorts of things in here. Some people put in their fire hydrants, their fire hose reels, any fire stairs and that sort of thing. And when a new customer comes in, what they tend to do is just print out a copy of the map, because there's a print button on the right-hand side here, and just hand that to the customer with a circle of to where their unit is. So they know what's nearby and how to get to their particular storage shed. And the map is also a great way to see things that are nearby. So for example, if someone is storing their boat or vehicle in this grey section here, the vehicle boat storage, and they want a unit that's nearby so they can do some repairs on their car or whatever the case might be, you can easily see that Unit 135 and 136 on the right hand side are currently vacant. So that would be a great unit to give to that customer because it's right next door. I'll just click on Done to close that StorMan map. Now a handy thing to know about the StorMan map is that if you have two monitors on your computer, two computer screens, you can actually put StorMan on the left hand one and the map on the right hand one, or vice versa. And it gives you a great way to see what's going on both visually using the map and using text here in the customers panel. So you can sort of use StorMan in two ways, because some people like text and writing and some like seeing things visually laid out. So you've got that option. You can run two screens with StorMan and have the things running on different screens if you want to. Now the last thing I'll show you on this main dashboard or control screen is the little floating window, which you've probably seen sitting up here in the top right. Now we call it a floating window because you can move it around as I've just done there. You can sit any way you like on the screen, but we tend to dock it up here on the right hand side because it sort of fits in there nicely. It doesn't sort of cover up anything on the screen. And what the floating window does is give us some important information about what's going on. So the first thing we can see here is on my screen we've got Win727. And that's essentially just showing us that I'm running a Windows version of StorMan as opposed to a Macintosh, and I'm running StorMan version 727. Yours might be different depending on what version of system you're on, and just displays that up there. Underneath there in green we can see the words demo data, and this is essentially telling me that I'm running the demonstration data file. And you can all grab one of these for yourself to play with if you like. I'll give you the link at the end of the webcast session so you can download your own demo, and it'll have the exact same customers I've got here. If you do go ahead to purchase StorMan, instead of demo data, you'll see a 5-digit site code, for example 01234, something like that. And that will be a unique code for your facility. If you ever need to ring for technical support or have email support, you'll need to pop that code into the phone system or into the email, and that allows us to see who you are and be able to service you better on the telephone. Just underneath that, again, we can see the word admin. This is exactly the same as on the left-hand side at the top of the dashboard. Here we have Welcome to StorMan Admin. It's just repeating who we're logged in as into StorMan. just underneath that on the floating window after admin, you currently see in green paused ... Now that flicks around every 10 minutes or so, every 10 seconds or so, as you can probably just see there, and it does a couple of things for us. It's called a log monitor process. And what it does is run every 10 seconds and do a couple of things. It checks for any emails that are waiting to come into StorMan or waiting to go out, such as invoices, quotes, and so on. It also checks the gate system to see if there's